Now then, back to Ernest McCarty. He's a bass player who worked as Erroll Garner's accompanist for over 5 years, maybe more. Somewhere in that period, Ernest and I met and have kept in touch. Now, he dropped by my office, as I said, recently, and as we got into a conversation about Erroll, and some of the things he said about Erroll was so compelling that I decided to put it on film for you. You're going to see that film in a few moments, but don't think that all of this is just a selfish expression on my part. This interview is being presented out of the conviction that Erroll Garner is among a whole host of exceptional people of our race who are little known by today's youth. We here at Like It Is are constantly seeking to remedy that, and this interview is a step in that direction.
After 10 happy years, here's something you deserve.
A diamond ring. Can we afford it?
You can afford the ultimate gift, diamond jewelry from SMA Diamond Importers. SMA has private showings by appointment only to help you choose from a vast selection of dazzling diamonds at unbelievably low importer prices. Call for your appointment.
I love my new diamond.
Ooh, love deserves a diamond from SMA.
Diamond Importers.
HBO is okay, but only WHT tops up your evenings with nightcap films. Just wait till you see them. Plus, enjoy lots of great feature films, vintage screen classics, showbiz extravaganzas like Frank Sinatra in concert, children's specials and action-packed sports. No cable TV is required to get WHT. So why wait? Call toll-free today and get the entertainment while the entertainment's hot. Operators are standing by.
This is Ernest McCarty today. For over 5 years, Ernest took his position on Erroll Garner's left and accompanied one of the most demanding of musicians in concert and nightclub performances all over the world. Erroll Louis Garner. Oh, he was bad. He was just a shade taller than 5 feet, and yet he was unanimously regarded as a giant. We're fortunate to have acquired film of Garner in performance. Although you'll see him with another bassist accompanying him, you'll nonetheless, we hope, find the footage useful in understanding the brilliance that was his, and also aided by the illustrations drawn by Ernest McCarty in telling his story. When did you meet this man?
I met Erroll in 1970 at the Apartment Supper Club in New York City here, and I was the house bass player.
Mm-hmm. And he dropped in?
He dropped in with Carmen McRae, and Gloria Lynn was there already, and they were all sitting there at the table together, just looking at me, you know, making me very, very paranoid. Because that's the old musician's ploy to almost like a friendly type challenge to just sit in. If you're a trumpet player, you sit and stare at the trumpet player. So everyone is just sitting staring at me, and none of them seemed to be a bass player to me. And Erroll, after the set, he invited me over to the table and started talking about could I travel, did I have a passport, all that kind of stuff. And Carmen was saying the same things. Can you travel? I work 42 weeks a year, and blah, blah, blah. And that's how we met, with a proposition.
So they were both hitting on you?
They were both hitting on me.
So what happened?
Well, Carmen figured that I wanted a quantity of work, more weeks a year. Erroll said, look, I'm only going to work 23, 24 weeks a year, maybe 30 at tops, which leaves me plenty of time to do my writing and my other thing. Plus, he paid 3 times as much. And Carmen, well, I would prefer to work with Erroll than with Carmen, because he was a musician. And I could learn a lot from him as far as musical freedoms.
Mm-hmm. Well, what happened? I mean, you were hired on the spot, or what happened?
No. After I said I would go with him, he said, well, we have to have a little rehearsal. I didn't know that it was the first and only rehearsal we would ever have in 5 years. He invited me to the studio, NOLA Studios on 57th Street, one afternoon about 1:30. And he's there at the piano, and Jose Manuel, the conga player at that time, he was there. And I walked in, and he had a bass waiting for me, some rented bass, really hard to play. The strings were that fat, you know. And he just sat down and then his little mumble talk. Ding-a-ling, boom, and starts fooling around with one of his elaborate intros on the piano, which is hypnotic if you get too absorbed in it, because you got to catch his cue when he gives that downbeat. So he's going off on this whole thing, and then I couldn't think of what song he could be developing there. He's not saying anything. Maybe he'll stop and turn and say to me, we're going to do Misty. Never happened. All of a sudden, bam, we into a tune. I remember April just floating along. He's looking up.
And you just had to find it?
Well, I've been playing that tune for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. I was happy that he picked that instead of Lush Life. You know, I would have a little problem with Lush Life.
And so how many tunes did you all play?
We played, after that particular tune, the audition was actually over. Then he played Misty. He started off in the traditional way, dong, 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 and around about the bridge, he went into a tango on top of changing the key, which is, if you know the song, you are a musician, the bridge to Misty starts on the 4th degree of the scale. That's the first chord after the turnaround.
That's right.
So therefore, if you're going to change key on top of it, you've got to first figure out what key is going to, and then get to 4th degree of the scale. So that solved a lot of problems for him as far as my musical ability was concerned, because he had to have someone who would be able to follow him all over the universe, musically speaking, so to speak.
So what key did he take it into?
We went from E flat,
mm-hmm.
and we went from E flat to G flat.
Right.
Which means that on the turnaround, we used a F sharp 7 or a G flat 7, going to a B major 7 or a C flat major 7 instead of an A flat major 7. It was interesting.
He didn't say anything to you, he just did it?
He just did it. Spontaneous. Head arrangements, which is the type of format we always used whenever we traveled, whenever we recorded. Even on the album, it even says it. Head arranges by Erroll Garner. He didn't rehearse.
And you never had a rehearsal since?
No more rehearsals. Except when we got ready to do a television show, we were set up, you know, sound check, that kind of thing. That's not a rehearsal, though. Just to get the balance.
So you mean to tell me, whatever he played, you just had to be ready?
At all times.
How many tunes would you say this man knew?
In Errol's case, it would be almost like saying how many stars are there in the sky. Erroll could play anything that he ever heard. So therefore, there was no telling how many songs he actually knew. Because he could play along with the music, something would be playing up there and he'll sound just like it. He knew classical music, he could do Beethoven.
Get out of here.
He could do rock, he could imitate anybody's style. He was the most learned musician. He was a very deep professor of another method of bringing music to people. He didn't know about harmony, how to put it together, how to write it down. He couldn't expound on the principles and elements that comprise music. But let him get to a piano. That's the office. To be in his company was like going to the mountain to talk to Maharishi or something like that. He was the guru as far as music was concerned.
Did he ever take a tune into such a way or start playing in such a way that you just had to sort of lay out and see what he was going to do before you caught up?
Yeah, I must admit now, in my wanderings around the musical sphere with this man, there was a couple of times when I was totally lost. I mean, he's on Jupiter, and I'm over here on Mars someplace, and I had to just stand there, right on the stage, and just get myself together. And he covered. Because usually the other two musicians, the drummer and the conga, would take their cue from me when we would come in, because he would cue me because I have to do the chords as well as the time. So if I didn't play, chances are they wouldn't play either, and I was counting on that. Because if they had played and he was playing, there I was. Egg on my face, man, raw egg too. He played a song, he played an intro that was so magnificent that I couldn't even zoom in on what tune that he has disguised within the intro. The way he could cut you down was on the bandstand. So he wasn't going to warn you. He wasn't going to hang you up so that the audience knows. But he's going to send you some musical messages as to, you know, I am still the guy, and I'm the giant, and I know what's going on before you know what's going on. So what he would do would do a nice intro, start playing one particular tune.
myriad little clues.
Things are in the intro. Things are there. And he'll go, ding, yeah, see what I mean?
Oh, he'd be talking to you while he's doing all this.
He'll go right at the beginning, see what I mean? That's it. Or sometimes he'll just do a tremolo on the dominant note, which will give you the cue that it's in a particular key. Suddenly, the time he would change the time into something else, 7/6 time, and do a run down in my department, the bass, and completely gobble up my bass line. and he's saying, I want you to play this. This is not what you have on your mind. I want you to play this. could play songs that are usually shunned by a lot of musicians because of chord changes. He could play a song inside out. He could run it backward. He could play a melody in one hand and another song in the other, and you got all these things going on at the same time. He could destroy the harmonic or the tonal center in your mind and make you doubt the key it was in and you're playing it. And you're wondering every note that you play, this does not sound like it's the root. This does not, and it's not, or it is. He made magic. He made magic.
Did he have the linguistic capabilities? Could he make himself as understood verbally as he could as a pianist?
When he wanted to, he had magnificent verbiage. When he wanted to. He could talk as eloquently as anyone if he wanted to. But he preferred to talk in code. Even the name that we called him by, Uchiku, is a name that signifies an image more so than a thing. And that's why they call him Uchiku, man. He's an Uchiku. I mean, that's how he was Uchiku. Whatever Uchiku is, that's what Erroll was. He could talk to you through the piano also. He was multilingual as far as that was
He could talk several other languages?
through the piano.
Could he do it verbally? Could he make himself?
No. Erroll had his own language that seemed to be understood everywhere. I'm going to quote something. We were in Italy, sitting out there in the cafe, and we're trying to get some refreshment, maybe some coffees, a ham and cheese sandwich, or whatever it is. And it's the group, Erroll and the stage manager, the road manager, we're all sitting there, and the waiter's coming over. And he's going through his thing, and we got our little books out, you know, talking very fluent Italian, pizza, salami, bologna, zucchini, you know, very good Italian. He doesn't understand a thing. Erroll says to the man, bring me, which is English, of course, pickle in the pickfoot. Pickle in the pickfoot. Man brings beer, sardines, bread, pie, you know what I'm trying to say? Now, I know people who say, Ernest, you're lying. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
What did he ask for again?
Pickle in the pickfoot.
But did he get what he wanted?
He got what he wanted, and we got what we wanted. He comes in, man, and everything just, he goes, and everything comes out, man.
He would talk to you on the set while he was playing?
Yeah. Sometimes about things that are totally unrelated to what was going on at that particular moment. In the middle of one number, he would turn over and say, I saw you last night, stinking out the hotel.
While he's playing?
You know, you could have knocked on my door. Stuff like that, you know. Ding-a-ling, boom, boom.
What's this ding-a-ling, boom-boom business?
Ding-a-ling, I do ask questions, and I did ask him, why do you say ding-a-ling? I didn't want to go into the other things, because if he explained one, I could probably get it. So he said, well, on one of the few occasions that he was talking standard English to me, he said, you know, on the game shows, and you get something, they ring the bell on you. So when people get something, I ring the bell on them. Ding-a-ling.
So that's a compliment, actually.
Yeah. Or if it's not a compliment, or I caught you, ding-a-ling, it's the inflection.
What was it like on tour with him? Tell us about the way in which crowds overseas responded to him.
I never understood it in the first place, because when I grew up in Chicago, people talked about show business as a frill situation. The girls had to wear the wigs and rings, and the guys had every talking and stuff and everything, like doing all the dancing and shuffling. Erroll was what jazz musicians were when they played in jam sessions in little clubs. They didn't talk. They got up there and they played and dealt with that and they worked at it. Erroll would come out, and after the first tune, you would think you were at a party. And people would start ordering drinks again, if it were a cabaret situation, or if it were a concert, no one would leave to go to the bathroom. When the break would come, everybody would just and be almost running over each other, getting back to their seats. Some people were fighting over, this was my seat. No, it wasn't. I was sitting here. See, my coat is here. People have switched seats while people were leaving to get closer to this man. One lady just came up to him and said, I just want to look at you. Just want to look at you. I mean, I wanted to know what was this.
Do you think he knew how great a gift he had been given?
Uh-huh. Which is one of the reasons I think I found him to be bored a lot. Once you know that something is the way it is, if you talk, to whom do you talk? People will tell you, he's got an ego, he's got a problem, and he thinks he's wonderful. He has to tell somebody about this gift that I'm sure at certain times he didn't view it as a gift, because it cut into his private life. He couldn't be the artist. When someone recognized him, he would have to become the media thing and go through all of that ritual of signing autographs and being a so-and-so. But when he played, he became he regressed to the age of 4, 5. He played, not being concerned with being perhaps being run over in traffic, or whether or not the gig is going to get paid, or if the second show is going to be filled. When he played, that was all that was going on. And when he played, we were glad to be there.
Did Erroll dissipate?
Sure. I think that man is evolving, mankind, from a provincial purist type state where at one time man only ate herbs and roots and all that kind of stuff. But life is becoming so complex now, and things are being mashed upon the spiritual entity that is in the body, that it takes certain distractions to just get through a day. So he would take a drink here and there, you know.
Here and there?
Yeah. He would take a drink.
Now and then?
Now and then. And here and there.
Do you think that it hindered his piano playing?
No.
It didn't help it?
Well,
he just burned right through it. Maybe that's why he sweated so much.
I think he perspired a lot, getting rid of the poisons in his body, because he was bored. I've said that before, and I say that now. The more I think about him, that there's only so much you can do in a day, and he never practiced, and we worked maybe 2 sets a night, hour a set, if it were an hour. So he had a lot of time on his hands to think about the powers that he had, the gifts that he had, the people that he had on him, the people that the families that he was supporting, all the business interests that people had in him. Yeah, he drank. It never got in the way of his playing. Nothing like that. Not that I could see. I think what it did was deteriorate his health, which might have in turn weakened him to affect his playing.
But if he went up on the bandstand and he'd had a few under his belt, how could it not affect him? Or what would happen to him when he sat down?
All right, it would affect him. Let's talk about the effects of alcohol upon the body. It brings it down. It is a depressant. Therefore, if he began to play a set and he was thinking about playing it one way, the alcohol in his system would bring it down to a level that will probably relate to most people, which is probably why he could touch a lot of people, because he would begin a set very, very lofty. As the set would go on, he would get more and more dirty. The songs he would start making up on the piano were overtones of brothels and stuff. You could almost sense in his music the things that Erroll did. If you listen beyond, I had the opportunity, because I heard him so much, that I got over the awe of the sound of his playing and started understanding what was being played on a particular song, how he felt. And when he was depressed, you could tell that in his playing. And such beautiful melodies would come out when he's depressed. It was almost as if he were wishing he were someplace else.
That the ladies responded to him.
Yeah, the overflow was wonderful. I mean, that's one of the fringe benefits of being around a monstrous man.
Now, you know, a lot of musicians are going to be upset about what you said, that this was the baddest piano player you have ever heard. What made him superior to other artists like a Tatum or a Peterson or somebody of that caliber?
Well, I don't want to put anybody on the spot or compare anyone. I'm just going to point out the things that Erroll did that the others did not do.
And what is that?
He improvised upon improvisation. I don't know if I can even explain that. But whenever you went to an Erroll Garner concert, in which people you would follow him around the country, couples would drive 300, 400, 500 miles within. Even if you heard a song that he had recorded, and you came that night to hear it, and you requested it, and he said that he would play it. I hope you didn't count on hearing it the same way it was recorded. Because he's going to take that as a base, and he's going to go wherever the muse is going to take him at that particular time, and you're going with him.
Would you call this man a genius?
Yeah, people use that word so much.
I know.
You know, but in the terms of what that word means and the things that you cannot explain, yes, he was a monstrous genius.
Have you ever told him how you felt about his playing?
It was after a concert. We were playing, I don't know if it was Brazil or one of those countries in South America. And we had a series of 4 concerts. And each concert, it was sold out. And but after each concert, there were almost as many people outside the gates trying to get in as there were inside. There were 10,000 inside. Some nights, the first night there was probably maybe 500, 600 people hanging outside. Next night there was 4,000 people outside until they had to bring out the troopers and everything to hold this man down. And I'm sitting here looking at this man who doesn't say a word. He's not getting up on the stage like Victor Borger. He's not a clown. He's not making fun of the piano. He's not the rodeo clown. This man sits down at the piano and just, and before you know it, everybody's in his hand, including us. I could not be so uppity and just walk around with a big head and say, yes, 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 I'm with the wonderful man. I had to go tell this man that I thought he was magic.
What did he say?
I said, you are wonderful. Do you know what I'm saying to you? You are wonderful. He just says, oh, you. That's all he said. you can ever get a chance to view some film of Erroll, you can see sometimes the delight and the surprise on his face when something goes down that's really heavy. I mean, he's amazed himself.
So you were never bored when you were up there on the set?
Kept me alert. A lady came up to him in Switzerland once and asked him a question. She said, well, it wasn't quite a question. She said, you know, what you're doing can't be done, you know. And what you're doing is impossible. And that pretty much sums it up. What he did, you can't do. I mean, pianists cannot do that. Every time he played, I was astounded. Not only was I astounded intellectually, emotionally, but I felt happy after I worked a night with Erroll. I felt spiritually satisfied that I have arrived at a plateau of my artistic existence that I never dreamt that I could have done this way. If I had been conducting an orchestra, I could understand the feeling, but a bass player with Erroll Garner, I mean, I wouldn't trade that for anything. But the things that I've learned, I learned how to trust myself, my own instincts, as far as music goes. I learned to not be so bound by the book. And I did go to school and study. And he stripped the book away. I have the knowledge of the book and the freedom of a spirit, and it's due to him.
That 5-year chapter in your life was a big one.
Yeah, that was the period that was necessary for me to have something upon which to build the rest of my life, musically speaking. Everyone else that I had worked with up to that point seemed to be in high school. When I got with Garner, I was working on a PhD from the first day. I mean, he didn't treat me like a rookie. Once you get into the big leagues, so to speak, you're expected to produce on that particular level. No one's going to spoon feed you. I mean, he just came right in from day one and just, this is how it's going to be, and this is it, and that's what it was. I had to expand. I had to broaden my scope just to deal with this man. And the way people were affected by him, it affected us. I mean, people around him would change according to the pressures that he would have on him. And we had to deal with that too, and he was the main one. So you can imagine the amount of pressures that he had to be under.
You miss him?
Yeah, I miss him in one way. I mean, I can't go. If I had enough, I don't know. There's not, I have not experienced anything like that, listening to anyone play. Just play. Knowing that there's something in there for me, that I can get out of it. That if I just can be exposed to it for just a minute, I can shed my cares for this day. The amount of the ticket that it would cost for me to pay to see him play will soon be forgotten. It would almost be like it was a cardinal sin that it was that small. I mean, he was a very, very, very powerful man in a gentle way.
Some people might think you're laying it on a bit thick.
Somebody's got to pour it on thick. I mean, I was there. I'm a very sensitive person. I'm an artist. I think I'm good in what I do. I'm not as good as I could be. And I know diamonds when I see them. You can tell a real diamond. And you don't have to come from any particular aristocracy to know quality. This man is more than I can say. I'm trying to take a phenomenon and put words on it. I can't do that. I can only say what he has done for me and what he's done for a lot of other people. And it's a shame now that Erroll is so missing from our consciousness. Our young people today, black and white, the people that loved him all over the world, can only tell their offspring about this magnificent man. And he seems to be vanishing daily. Records are not being reissued for whatever reason. Film copies of his life, of his works, are hard to find. I don't know what that is. I would almost think that it's almost like a conspiracy.
Oh, by the way, Ernest McCarty hasn't worked with another pianist since he left Erroll Garner.